After bringing groceries to my sick neighbor for months, I came home one night to a towed car and a note. Your trash cans blocked my view. I reported you. When I knocked on her door, she just said, consequences catch up, sweetheart. So I filed one quiet complaint that changed everything. I've lived in Springfield, Missouri, almost a decade now. Quiet street. Older homes. Mostly older folks, too. I bought my house after my divorce. It was small, needed work, but it was mine. I kept to myself mostly. Said hi to neighbors, helped dig cars out after snow, that kind of thing. But I wasn't close with anyone on the block. Diane lived across the street. I didn't know much about her. She was retired, maybe early 60s. Lived alone. Trimmed her hedges like she was entering some kind of contest. She didn't talk much. She stared a lot. Tight mouth, stiff wave. We'd nod when we passed each other, but that was it. Then one day I saw an ambulance outside her house. Turned out, she'd slipped coming down her steps. Broke her leg bad. I saw them wheel her out. Later that week, I saw a notice on her door about uncollected mail, so I figured I'd help. I brought her mail in. Knocked on her door. She took it without looking at me. No thank you. Next time I went to the store, I knocked again. Asked if she needed anything. She handed me a list without saying anything. Just scribbled and no peanuts in all caps at the top. I didn't say anything either. I brought her stuff. Put it on her porch. Knocked once, walked away. That turned into a routine. Tuesdays and Fridays I'd do my shopping, grab her stuff, drop it off. I never asked for anything. She never offered. Not a word of thanks, not a smile. One time, I brought the wrong kind of milk. She banged on my door that night. Woke me up. Said I needed to pay better attention. I almost stopped helping her right then. But I didn't.
I don't even know why.
I told myself she was old, hurt, maybe embarrassed needing help. Maybe she didn't know how to be kind. Months went by like that. She healed, slowly.
She still needed help, though.
Said driving stressed her leg. Said the stores were too full of idiots. Then, a couple weeks ago, I came home from a long shift. I work at a local hardware store. Nothing fancy, but it's physical. My back was killing me that day. I pulled onto my street and my car wasn't there. I thought I'd lost it. I froze in the middle of the road. Just stood there staring at my empty driveway. Then I saw something taped to my mailbox. A single sheet of paper in bold black ink. Your trash cans blocked my view of the street. I reported you to the city for violating the visibility ordinance. Your car has been towed. Diane. I read it 3 times. The trash cans. I remembered that morning. I was rushing. They were maybe a foot closer to the curb than usual. I didn't even think about it. She could have told me. She could have walked over and knocked and said, "Hey, can you move those back a bit?" Instead, she called the city and got my damn car towed. I stood on her porch that night with my hands shaking. I knocked once. Not hard. She opened the door like she'd been waiting for me. No surprise on her face. I asked, "Why didn't you just tell me?" She smiled. A cold, sharp smile. Like she'd won something. Consequences catch up, sweetheart. And she shut the door.
Just like that.
I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about everything I'd done for her. The groceries. The mail. The time I drove across town for a stupid brand of crackers she liked. And now she'd reported me for trash cans. Got my car towed like I was some kind of criminal. I had to pay almost $300 to get it back. Towing fee, ticket, storage. That was rent money. I used a credit card I'd been trying to keep empty. At work, I couldn't focus. I kept replaying her face in my head. How smug she looked when she said that. Consequences catch up. Like I was the one in the wrong. Like she'd been waiting to get me back for something. By the end of that week, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to damage anything. I was just going to file a complaint. Just one. See, Diane had this big backyard. She kept chickens. 4 of them, maybe 5. You couldn't see them from the street, but I'd seen them once when I helped carry groceries through her side gate. City ordinance says you can't keep livestock unless your lot is zoned for it. Hers isn't. I went online, found the form, submitted it, attached a photo I'd taken months ago when she asked me to check on them while she was at the hospital. One of the birds, right in the frame. That was all it took. 3 weeks later, animal control showed up. I watched from my living room as they knocked on her door. She argued with them for almost 30 minutes, waved papers in the air, slammed the door, came back out, pointed at other houses. Eventually, they left with the chickens. 2 days after that, a city code officer came. I guess once you're on their radar, they look closer. He walked her yard with a clipboard, took notes. I saw him point at the dilapidated shed near her fence. The following week, she got hit with a fine. Something about unpermitted construction and improper fencing. Her yard was suddenly flagged as non-compliant. And then it snowballed. She had to remove the shed, replace a section of the fence. Her mailbox wasn't up to code either, too close to the curb. Every little thing they found added another fine. I didn't say a word. I still waved when she looked. I still nodded if we passed. But I didn't knock. I didn't help. And I didn't feel sorry. Then she put up a camera facing my house. I saw the little red light blinking, tracking. That's when things escalated again. The camera she installed was pointed straight at my driveway. It was mounted under the edge of her porch roof, angled just right to catch my trash cans, mailbox, and front steps. I saw it blink every time I walked outside.
I didn't react.
But 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail, certified, official. It was from the city, citing me for excessive noise on 2 separate nights. Said a neighbor had filed a complaint. I knew it was her. Thing is, I don't throw parties. I don't even own a speaker system. I live alone, unless you count my old mutt Sam, who barely has the energy to bark at squirrels anymore. I appealed the citation. I told the city there must have been a mistake. I even offered to show them my doorbell cam footage to prove I hadn't had any guests, no cars pulling up, nothing. The officer reviewing my appeal looked tired. He said, "You've got a neighbor across the street who seems to file a lot of reports." He didn't say it outright, but I could tell he knew Diane was a problem. That was the moment I realized this was more than just a petty move over a trash can. Diane was trying to ruin me, piece by piece. Maybe she didn't like having someone on the block who didn't kiss up to her. Maybe she hated that I'd gone from being her errand boy to someone who got her chickens taken away. Or maybe she was just bitter and bored and needed someone to punish. I didn't strike back right away. I waited. Then I remembered something else. Her back porch had these wide wooden steps.
Old. Warped. No running.
I knew she'd built them herself. She bragged about it once, back when I was still helping her. Thing is, any raised steps over 30 inches require a permit and a railing in the city. I checked the codes. She didn't have either.
I didn't report myself this time.
I just emailed a picture of them anonymously to the same city code inbox. Safety concern. I wrote in the subject. A week later, she got a violation notice. Another fine. This one was hefty. $750 unless corrected by the end of the month. She must have known it was me. She stood across the street one morning while I was sweeping my porch and shouted, "You think this is over? You don't know what you've started." I didn't say anything. I just kept sweeping. 2 days later, someone egged my truck. The eggs hardened overnight in the sun before I saw them. Cracked shells stuck to my windshield. Yolk dried into thick yellow streaks across the hood. It took an hour to scrape off, and even then the paint was never quite the same. I didn't have proof it was her. No camera caught it. But nobody else on the street had issues with me. Nobody else stared at my house like it offended them. Still, I said nothing.
I didn't retaliate.
But I started watching her more closely. That's when I noticed the car. Every morning around 7:30, a black Ford Taurus would pull into her driveway. Same guy each time. Mid-40s, gray hoodie, never stayed long. Maybe 20 minutes. Then gone. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe a relative. Maybe some handyman helping her out. But one morning, I saw her come out with an envelope in her hand. She handed it to him through the window. He left right after. Then it happened again. 3 days later. Same envelope.
Same guy.
Same exact time. Something about it felt off. So I wrote down the plate number. It was a Kansas plate, not Missouri. I used an online lookup tool to run the tag. Nothing official, just one of those public record aggregators. The car was registered to a man named Joel, a disbarred contractor from Wichita who'd been cited for unlicensed plumbing work in 2 counties. Also had a misdemeanor on his record for aggressive conduct on a job site. Now I was curious. I did a deeper dig. I found a complaint someone had posted on a neighborhood site a few years back.
Same guy.
Took cash for a roof inspection. Disappeared. Never did the work. It didn't take long to figure it out. Diane was likely hiring this guy off the books. Maybe to avoid permits. Maybe to dodge taxes. Maybe she was running a little under-the-table home repair scheme with someone she thought wouldn't get her caught. So I waited until the next time I saw him pull in. I made a short video from my porch. Him pulling up. Her handing over an envelope. A timestamp. His plate. Then I sent it to the same city office that had investigated her before. Along with a short message, repeated activity by an unlicensed contractor at 47 Hillside. Suspected violations of city labor and zoning codes. Please investigate. 2 weeks later, I saw an official-looking sedan pull up outside her house. 3 people got out.
Clipboards.
Badges. They spent nearly an hour walking her property. 1 went inside. That night, her porch lights stayed off. The camera facing my house didn't blink. She didn't come outside for 3 days. Then I got a letter in my mailbox. No return address.
No stamp.
Just folded paper. Inside it said, "You think you've won, but you haven't. People like you always lose in the end." I didn't recognize the handwriting. But I didn't need to. After that note, things went quiet. Too quiet.
No ex. No yelling. No citations.
She stopped leaving the house as much. Her curtains stayed drawn. For a while, I thought maybe she'd backed off. Maybe she realized she couldn't push me anymore. Maybe she finally understood I wasn't going to play nice just because she was older and used to people letting her get away with things. But then my dog got sick. Sam was old, yeah, but not like this. One morning he was stumbling. Couldn't hold down water. I took him to the vet. They ran tests, asked questions. Then the vet asked if he could have gotten into anything toxic. No, I said. He's never off the leash. He doesn't leave the yard. The vet hesitated, then asked if I used pesticides, rodent poison, anything like that. I don't. But Diane did. I'd seen her out back with those green boxes before, rat bait stations. Perfectly legal as long as you use them correctly. I went straight home and walked the fence line. And there, behind the back corner of my shed, just inside my property line but almost out of sight, one of those bait boxes. Tucked low in the grass. Open. It wasn't mine. I picked it up with gloves. Brought it inside. Called the police. Then I called animal control. Then I called a lawyer. Sam survived. Barely. He's on meds now, slow and groggy. But alive. When the cops came, I gave them everything, photos, vet records, the box. Told them about the feud. Told them I couldn't prove it was her, but she was the only one with a reason. They took a report. Said they'd follow up. That was a month ago. No arrest. No charges. But something changed after that. Not just in her, in me too. I started watching her the way she used to watch me. Every movement. Every pattern. Every morning the porch light didn't come on. Every time her trash sat out longer than it should have. Every person who pulled into her driveway that I didn't recognize. Because if this was the game she wanted, I wasn't just playing defense anymore. About 2 weeks after the rat poison incident, I noticed something new. A for sale sign popped up in Diane's yard. No announcement. No open house. Just a plain white sign with a small realty logo and a phone number printed on it. It looked temporary, rushed. I called the number. Didn't give my name. Just asked if the house at 47 Hillside was on the market. The woman on the line hesitated, then said, "It's a private listing for now. We're only showing it to pre-qualified buyers." I asked, "Is the owner leaving the area?" She said, "I can't share that." But she's motivated to sell. Health reasons mostly. Health reasons. That made me pause. I started wondering if it was all catching up to her. The chickens, the fines, the city on her back, maybe even the contractor stuff. Maybe she really was sick. Or maybe she just couldn't handle the heat now that someone pushed back. But here's where it gets strange. The same week the sign went up, I noticed a different car sitting at the end of our block. Not every day, but often enough to be suspicious. Gray Chevy Malibu. Tinted windows. Sometimes early in the morning, sometimes late at night. Never parked directly in front of her house. Just far enough away to look casual. Once, I walked by it with Sam. Tried to get a peek inside. The windows were too dark. But I swear I saw someone duck their head when I looked. I started making notes.
Time. Dates.
Plate number. Even took a photo once when I walked by and pretended to be on a call. Then I checked the plate. It wasn't registered in our county. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just some neighborhood visitor. I don't know what Diane got herself into. I don't know if it was money trouble, legal trouble, or something worse. But something wasn't right. And that's when I realized something else. Maybe I wasn't the only one she'd pissed off. And maybe I was the only one playing by the rules. A few nights ago, I woke up around 2:30 in the morning. Not because of noise, because of light. My bedroom faces the street, and my blinds were glowing orange. At first I thought it was a street lamp glitching. But when I got up and looked outside, I saw smoke. Diane's trash bins were on fire. The flames weren't huge, maybe 3 feet high, but they were licking up the side of her garage. Someone had clearly lit them on purpose. The lids were open, contents spilling out, burning. A small trail of gasoline marked a path from the cans back toward the sidewalk. I called 911 immediately. Fire truck came fast. They put it out before it reached the house. No real damage except black streaks on her siding. I stood there in my robe, across the street, watching the whole thing. So did half the block. Diane never came outside. But the next morning, the for sale sign was gone. Just vanished.
No explanación.
No realtor's card. Nothing. By that afternoon, her porch camera was gone too. Like it had never been there. I haven't seen her since. The blinds in her front windows are always closed now. No more morning walks to the mailbox. No more cars in the driveway. Even the guy in the Taurus stopped showing up. And the Malibu?
Still comes by.
Now it parks in front of her house. Sometimes I still catch myself walking toward her porch with a grocery bag in my hand, like I forgot what happened. Like some part of me still wants to believe she was just lonely or scared or bitter in a harmless way. But then I remember the vet bills, the fake complaints, the way she looked me in the eye and smiled while wrecking my life. And I wonder how many people helped her before me, how many walked away quietly. Because now, even with the house dark and the car gone, I don't feel relief. I just feel like the story isn't over yet.